To know me is to know I love the band LANY. Like, it is a personality staple to me at this point, and Paul Klein, who is the lead singer, has been my white boy of the month for months now, going on a year, because there is just something about a tall man who wears flowers and looks like he hasn't slept in a couple weeks that just gives me heart palpitations like nobody's business. And maybe me and my therapist can talk about that later, but for now, I'm just going to let it be what it is. The thing is, though, LANY lore goes back a lot further than you might think. I actually found the band through my boyfriend, and we were sitting on a summer porch one day, and the song Pink Skies was playing, and I fell in love the same way I fell in love with him, and that ended up being one of our bands that we would listen to all the time. But then we broke up, and all of a sudden it hurt to listen to LANY, so I just didn't for years. Fast forward to December of last year, I'm on Spotify, as I am, flipping through the songs, and I see that LANY has come out with a new album. And my curiosity was piqued, so I decided to hit play, and I fell in love all over again. But this time, I got the familiar voice that I had known and loved with new music, which was the perfect recipe to just pull me right back in. And all of a sudden, in the shower, in the car, in my headphones, LANY was playing. And it felt a lot like when you find your old favorite stuffed animal you thought you lost forever again. And it was just a warmth that I couldn't place on my own, and I was really grateful for. So, after returning to the fangirldom, I decided, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be so crazy if they were like playing around here or something? So I get on Spotify again, and there's an events tab. And when I click on the events tab, I noticed that they were playing in Indianapolis on March 29th. So before I clicked the ticket button, I did go to my bank account, and I saw that I had $100 in there. And I was like, sick, that is a amount. So I went back to the tickets and saw that they were $75. And justified in my head that $25 could get me enough PB&Js for the rest of the week, hit click, and just like that, I was going to see my favorite band for the first time on March 29th all by myself. I could not be more excited. So the weeks following up to it, I was making my own merch. I got this hoodie, right? And it is a XXL hoodie. And I cut it up, and I bleached it, and I put all my favorite lyrics on it, and I was so excited to sport it because they have a song called XXL that ended up being my new favorite, and I was so excited to wear it there. I also looked up different places I could go to beforehand and just romanticized how wonderful this concert was going to be for me, because no matter what, it was going to match how it was in my head. I was determined. So then finally, March 29th rolls around, I saddle up in my white Toyota Camry, and I head to Indianapolis, this new city that I'd never been to before, and my heart felt like I was in a rom-com, but it was just me in life, you know? I was just so excited, and I was so thrilled for whatever was to lay before me. So I get to the parking garage, I skip to Condado's, that's down the street, and I make friends with the waiter, and I'm telling him why I'm in town and how I'm so excited. And then I go to order these tacos, and he's like, I'm so sorry, we are actually out of those tacos. And I was like, it's cool, I'll just order the tacos I normally get, which must have been like super cool to him, because he was like, don't worry, I'll actually just comp your tacos and meal for free. And I was like, if I like walk into the forest right now, am I going to be able to talk to animals? Because like this princess treatment already is oozing, and I'm here for it. So I eat my free tacos, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what goes great with tacos? Tequila. And tequila also helps me loosen up and dance for this concert I'm about to go to, right? So I go down the street to a bar, and me and the bartender are making friends because I'm also a bartender. So we're talking and exchanging stories once again, telling everyone and their brother why I am in town and how I am there to see my favorite band, and looking forward to La Prima helping me loosen up a little bit, right? So before I go, the bartender's like, hey, do you want to do a free shot with me? And I'm like, yes, I want to do a free shot with you. There's nothing I would rather do before I go to this concert. So I do a free shot with the bartender, and I'm feeling great, I'm feeling good, and I'm finally ready to head over to the venue and see my absolute favorite band in the world, right? So I get in line, and once I enter into the venue, I just in that moment realized, okay, like, where's my seat? I didn't really think about that the entire time. I'm like, where am I supposed to sit? And I looked down at my ticket and realized, oh, it's general admission, which means when I entered into the room where this concert was being held, I could get as close as I wanted to that stage, and you bet your ass I did. I was right up at the front, and I was so excited. I felt like I was the only one in the room, and it kind of reminded me of the same thing of when you look up at the stars in the night sky, how you feel so alone, but just like not in an insignificant way, but in a really empowering, like, wow, I'm part of something bigger type of way. And of course, people started flooding in, so I wasn't alone, but I felt like this concert was just for me, right? So finally, the openers start performing, and they kind of go like a revolver door, like they're great and they're good, but that's not why I'm there, right? I'm like, you're doing great, but get off the stage whenever you want to. And then finally, the lights dim down, and a spotlight hits the stage. And I am so elated. I have never felt so much emotion in my entire life. I'm worried about my wedding day. So for real. Then out walks Paul Klein in the most basic outfit possible, right? Just a white shirt and jeans. But in my head, he's above average because he makes a lot of songs that makes me feel stuff. So I was so excited to see him up there. And he opens with the song Pink Skies, which once again was the first song I ever listened to by them. And it was a beautiful visual display as well, because a really cool thing about concerts is you get to kind of experience what songs look like based on what the visual graphics the artist decides. So to watch my life be colored in right in front of me was one of the most enchanting feelings I'll take with me for the rest of my life. And he, was doing his thing. He was performing. He was playing more songs that I love that you don't know, so I'm not going to go into much detail about it, but I was living, okay? And in this time, it felt like time didn't exist. I was in a state of permanent reverie because this band meant so much to me, and I was finally watching them in person. And at some point in the concert, I was like looking, because I'm really close, right? I'm so close to the stage because I'm committed. And I see him up there, and I decide to just kind of throw up a little. And then he sees me and throws one back, and I said, ah, no! Wait, am I better than everybody else? Because, like, he made eye contact with me and threw up a heart, and everything's beautiful. Nothing hurts. This is the best time of my life. So that, I'm like, is the apex of my night, because my favorite artist knows I existed for 0.5 seconds in a huge crowd, and it was so significant to me I couldn't, see, I still am at a loss for words, and I write poetry, so that means something, okay? And finally, he ends with the song Double XL, which is my new favorite, and jumps into the crowd, and we're all singing with him, and we're laughing, and we're having this wonderful time, and the curtains close, and we get a sign that says, "That's all, folks." But for me, that was not all. This was the best night of my life. I'm not letting it end like that, right? So I, even though the concert ended, wanted this night to continue because I had never experienced a day like this in my life. So once the flowers were on stage and the curtain was closed, I finally decided to kind of explore Indianapolis a little bit because I'm here, right? Might as well see what I can get into. And as you can tell, I can get into stuff. So I went to a bar and I started talking to this guy, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I actually work for the opener of that band." And I was like, "Wow, interesting." And he was like, "So I have a hotel room that I'm not going to use, so if you want it and not have to drive back to Dayton." I was like, "I would love to not drive back to Dayton tonight. I would absolutely take that free hotel room, but I got to go back to the parking garage real quick and get my car and my things and stuff." And he was like, "Cool." We exchanged information, and I started walking back. So when I get to my car, I'm going to pull out, that this thing that lets you out? it wasn't doing that. So I got there, and I'm trying to leave, and it's just not going up. And I'm like, so do I like camp out in the parking garage tonight? Like, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to leave, but I can't take that hotel room. So I let him know, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I can't actually get out of the parking garage. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do here. And he's like, good luck, no problem. So I do the only thing I think to do, which is to go back to the venue, duh. So I'm like, I'm just a girl. Let me go back to the place I came for. And I walk back to the venue, and there's a bunch of people standing out there, and I was like, hey, I'm kind of locked in the parking garage. I don't know how to get out. I don't really know what to do. So if anyone wants to help me, that would be great. And they're like, oh, like, we would love to, but actually right now we're waiting for Paul Klein. And I said, I'm sorry. Are you guys all out here waiting to meet Paul Klein, my husband? You're all out here waiting to meet my husband right now? And they were like, yeah, he's going to be out here in like 10 or 15 minutes. And I said, okay, all right, I'm so cool about that, and I will be so chill and cool about that. And lo and behold, 10 minutes later, this man comes walking towards me looking super exhausted because he just played a 3-hour concert, but also just so sweet and soft as he embraces us as his fans. And I am just like in awe, right? This is the time where I'm like, in my autistic brain, I'm like, okay, he's tired, you're fangirling, try to condense that a little bit, say what you need to say, but don't be too weird about it. I failed. So he starts talking to me, and he's like, thank you so much for coming. I was like, no, thank you for existing. Thank you for doing what you do and being who you are, because your songs mean so much to me, and they've helped me through so many things. I'm so grateful for you. Can you please, like, sign my journal, take a picture with anything? He's like, yeah, I'll do both of those things. So he signs my journal, and he takes a picture with me, and it's kind of blurry, a beautiful blur, some might say. And I was like, oh my God, this is enchanting. Like, I'm having such a great time, even though I can't get my car out of the parking garage, which I let him know. And he's like, oh, we'll have one of my guys help you. I was like, yeah, just like have one of your guys help me. Of course you can do that. So he tells me that, and then he walks back into his trailer. And you know that like sound from TikTok that's like, she was a fairy. Like, that's how he like entered his trailer in my head. And I was like, I just met the love of my life, and he didn't care, but I did, and that's all that matters to me. So I was sitting in that feeling, really relishing that feeling, really owning how beautiful of a moment that truly was. And then eventually I was able to stumble my way back to my car. Somebody helped me get out, and this thing went up, and when it went up, it cost me no money, and I was so excited about that. And it just kind of helped on that like good luck train I felt like I was on, right? So the whole way home, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I could have ever had this experience with my boyfriend. And how redemption is such an essential part of vulnerability. And vulnerability is one of the most courageous things we can do as humans, because it lets us tell and love with our whole heart. And I would have never gotten that experience if I didn't have the courage and the vulnerability to try again. So my advice and what I've learned growing up is that God and the universe tend to favor the brave. So just be brave and listen to the song. Yeah.